Extra.
Welcome to paradise, or to hell for most of you. You're here because you think you're tough enough for the SAS.
SAS selection is legendary for its toughness. Jungle survival is an essential part of the process. We're in 30,000 square miles of jungle in Sarawak, the Malaysian part of Borneo. Former members of the SAS are recreating SAS selection.
2 weeks ago, 24 people entered this jungle below me. Their challenge to see if they're tough enough to withstand the SAS selection process in the jungle. They've faced the most arduous of physical and mental tasks. The dropout rate has been phenomenally high, pretty much one every day. But now, 4 people remain. And those 4 face the most grueling 48 hours of their lives, at the end of which one will be told, you're tough enough for the SAS. 14 days ago, these were the 24 that started. With no military experience, they had the shape up as soldiers. Most of them weren't tough enough.
Come on, keep moving, you lot!
Fighting against almost 100% humidity and searing heat, they had no idea what each day would bring.
Get up!
They were super fit and thought they were mentally strong. From the 24 that started, these are the 4 that remained. Tim Phillips, 34, management consultant. Tim has performed well throughout the 2 weeks.
Where you were? Say yes or no?
He's shown good mental strength and good tactical awareness.
Contact left!
The ex-SAS directing staff have also been impressed with his leadership qualities.
Nice and slow, guys. It's not going to stop.
Jill Watson, 37, fitness instructor. The physical side has seemed like a stroll to Jill. She's outpaced most of the men.
Get off your stomach now!
But sometimes she's quick to blame others.
Can't hear these 2 at the back at all.
Listen to that, Buns.
She's also normally very positive, but has got upset at being separated from her 10-year-old daughter. Susie Appleby, 31, professional rugby player.
Come on, pass him in front!
Susie has sometimes felt like quitting, but her competitive nature has kept her going. She puts on a tough exterior, but privately has a good sense of humour.
This awful woman called Jill. Can't stand her.
Ian Parsons, 34, photographer. Ian has done extremely well on the endurance exercises, but has made bad mistakes on the shooting range.
Down in there. All you've got to do is take 1 pace off your line of access.
He's overcome badly infected feet. Over the next 24 hours, these 4 will be given their final tactical training. Then put through intense psychological pressure. And when that is all over, using all the skills they've learnt, they'll have one final exercise. Their mission? To attack this enemy compound and rescue a hostage and get him airlifted to safety. Every move each volunteer makes will be analysed. The directing staff have been monitoring their performance throughout, but any mistakes from now on will cost them dear. The winner simply gets a handshake from this man, Eddie Stone, and the satisfaction of knowing they're tough enough. This snug little baby behind me provides a setting for what's known as a building assault. Essentially, our volunteers have to go in, clear the building and make it safe. Eddie reliably informs me this is to do with teamwork and SAS. Speed, aggression, surprise. His words, not mine.
Has to be fast, has to be quick. Your shooting has to be accurate. You fire bullets in one room, they're going to travel into the other room. And you're going to look like an idiot if you're going in to rescue somebody and you end up them being dead. Your target's got to have a weapon in their hand. The first person to the door in the pair goes to the opposite side of the hinges. You do not at any time stand in front of the door. If there's enemy inside the building and they hear activity outside, they know you're going to be coming through that door. So all you're going to get is a burst of AK-47 through the door if you're stood outside it. So you need to be to one side. Stand here. Number 2, who was covering, now moves up in a position behind number 1. Once the number 2 is in position, you keep looking out the door, tap on the shoulder to say, yep, I'm ready to go. The number 1 will then gain entry. It's a covert approach, and obviously you're going to very quietly undo the latches, locks, door handle before you get the door ready to go. If it's hard and fast and you're straight in with a hand grenade or a stun grenade.
In the hut next door, we're monitoring the exercise.
Okay, it's going to be at night time, you can't see each other. That's the signal to ready.
Initially, they do a dry run. Ian Parsons and Jill Watson are the first pair.
Straight in. Straight in after it. Don't hang around. Yeah, once the door's open, you move it.
When you go in that room, you don't know, you haven't a clue of what is going to face you. There could be 3 or 4 people in there, and therefore both people have to lay down fire.
There's no point pointing your weapon at him when he's moving around, is there?
The aim is that the first person in dominates the room and allows the second person to come on and clear the room. Again, if the first person meets somebody, then you've obviously got to suppress that enemy first before you continue clearing the room.
Susie Appleby and Tim Phillips are the next pair.
The second person in the room must be able to adapt, move either side of them to then start clearing the rooms leading off of that. Just depends where the threat is.
Speed and control, and they do this time and time and time again.
Okay, run out on the track again.
It becomes second nature to you. When you're going into the room, you know what your partner's going to do.
Using our high-powered paintball guns, Eddie and one of the DS show us how quick it should be done.
Clear the building! First room clear! Second room clear! Out!
12 seconds, not bad for a 50-year-old. Barry Davis, ex-SAS, played the terrorist.
Oh, that hurt!
Jill and Ian now go for real.
Go!
The main element of this assault is surprise, but Jill slams into the building. Eddie is not impressed. She then fails to open the door quickly, allowing the terrorist to take cover.
You're too slow coming through the door.
Whoever was inside the building, then at least 3 or 4 seconds warning without bang.
SAS. Speed, aggression, surprise. Ian and Jill have a long way to go.
Leave that. Get out.
Clear! Out!
Right, over there.
38 seconds.
First person in the room, if he sees a target, he's got to take out that target.
Engage it.
And they've got to take out the main area of threat. Whether they have to go forward to do that, or whatever position they've got to do that, then the second person must then adapt.
And they didn't do that, they just stood there and stood there. It was like, a game.
The next pair are Tim and Susie.
Clear!
Mission clear! Second room clear! Out!
14 seconds. What do you think?
2 people coming in were this time quicker and responded a lot better. But if you slow it down, when actually both came in there, you noticed that there was a little pause. If you got to know your partner, you wouldn't have to pause. You wouldn't have that little pause. And that microsecond can be the difference between life and death.
And also the first person coming into the room, he must allow clearance as he goes into the room for the second person to get in.
Right.
If he doesn't go far enough into the room initially, then the second person is going to have a problem getting into the room to give them covering fire if there's more people in the room. Which she shouldn't be doing is taking her hand off the weapon right enough to climb up
the stairs.
Up the stairs. You've got to get her hand off that door.
How'd they work together?
I thought they were not too bad, considering they're quite a new pair together. It just takes constant training. The more you train at something, and the better you get at it. It's very unfamiliar for them, so what they're doing is reasonably good.
Since they got here, the volunteers have faced intensive physical beasting. Now it's time for a bit of psychological beasting. This involves Eddie and the boys giving each volunteer a scenario and then practically picking apart their choice of decisions.
Tim Phillips is the first person to be questioned on their imaginary scenario. Tim is the commander of an SAS patrol working alongside UN peacekeepers. When the local town comes under mortar fire, he has to persuade the UN to stay. This exercise is normally part of SAS officer selection. There are no right or wrong answers. It's all about testing their strength of character, and unknown to the volunteers, the DS see no bounds in their line of questioning.
You've got 25,000 screaming civilians outside who don't want you to go. They may turn nasty against the UN people because they're deserting them and leaving them. Are you going to stay, or are you going to safely guide out the UN workers?
We would try and do something about the situation, which means that we would try and ascertain where the mortars are coming from. And
what good is that? They're coming in and they're killing people. What do you do?
Are you going to call for help?
You're supposed to be the SAS for it. What are you going to do?
if that happens, and then perhaps there is disorder on the streets.
There's no perhaps about it. There is disorder.
We want decisions, straightforward decisions, Phillips. What are you going to do? How are you going to get the people from the compound out? That's a snap decision. Come on, we're waiting for an answer here.
Falling outside, this kid's dying. Hurry up, Phillips.
You've been at university, Phillips.
Yes, staff.
Does that make you more intelligent than me?
No, staff.
Why are you using big words then? Trying to confuse us?
No, staff.
You're just talking in jargon, aren't you?
No, staff.
You're trying to give the management answer. Really, you're not getting to the point.
We would withdraw the UN troops in the event that we...
Were you ever bullied at school, Phillips? Did anyone ever pick on you at school?
Yes, staff.
And why did they pick on you? Because you're indecisive?
No, staff.
Why did they pick on you then?
Do I have to answer that question, staff?
Yeah, I'm asking the question.
I choose not to answer that, staff.
Pick your Bergen up, get your weapon, and go and wait in the dismissal area. Next!
Vince, the guys are getting psychologically beasted now. At this late stage, what kind of effect can that have on them?
Danger is that for the person who's on the receiving end is that they take it personally, and it's really designed to try and crack their motivation. The other aspect of this questioning is to make people commit to tough decisions.
Next up is Jill Watson. A member of Jill's patrol is shot by a sniper and is lying in the open. The enemy is closing in. Should she try to rescue him?
Well, at the end of the day, I've joined the SAS to be a soldier, and you have to put your, although it will be very difficult, you have to put your feelings aside.
You're going to kill him?
Well, if the opportunity arose to go in and get him, but you'd put yourself at risk, plus the
Would you ask to go in and get him?
He would be out in the open if he'd been hit by a sniper, and the sniper would probably get you too.
So what are you going to do?
Well, try to get him. If the pressure's on, you'd have to get bug out.
The pressure is on. You've got a fire mission incoming. You've got a man lying wounded. What are you going to do, Watson?
So how are you going to get him out?
You've got 46 seconds, time of flight. Make a decision.
The enemy are just about on him, just about to take him away.
We'll
He's still alive.
You're going to leave him?
Incoming!
If he's going to die within minutes, we're not going to have time to get in there and get out, and we'll get killed ourselves.
If you were the only one on patrol with a sniper rifle and you could see him and the enemy were just about to get to him, would you pull the trigger?
You're going to cut his balls off. Stick them in his mouth.
Could you do it?
Probably not, Stuff.
Ian Parsons is the next to be questioned. Ian's jungle patrol discovers $5 million of drugs money. Should they keep it or hand it over to the authorities?
So, you're the new boy in the troop. What's your point of view?
I've got to report the findings, the money.
Just do as you're told, don't you?
No, staff.
Why not?
Because it's not our money, staff.
Some new boy like you is going to me. I've done 21 years in the forces for you, Parsons. You got in that radio, I'm going to beat your head in with the butt of my rifle. Do you hear me?
Do you think the other three are going to watch your back on the next operation?
Do you think you're going to survive the next contact, Parsons? Do you think you will survive with 3 desperate creatures in the SAS?
You ever taken drugs?
No stuff.
You got a girlfriend, have you, Parsons?
No stuff.
Why not?
I did have, but not at the moment stuff.
Why are you looking at the ground? Is there a reason why you don't like girls?
I didn't say that stuff.
Why haven't you got a girlfriend then?
Just haven't got one at the moment. I'm single at the moment stuff.
Because you're not to be trusted, Parsons.
No stuff.
You can't be trusted. You're going to grass up 3 of your mates. You've just joined the SAS and you're going to affect their lives just to become across as Mr. Goody Two-Shoes to the head shed.
What's your strengths and weaknesses, Parsons?
Team player stuff.
That your strength?
A team player? You're going to grass the 3 of us to the head shed for $5 million? You're not a team player, Parsons. You're looking after number 1.
What's your other strengths?
Determined.
Determined to look good in front of people who you think matter.
Susie Appleby is last to face the questioning. On patrol, Susie is faced with a 14-year-old sentry who's about to blow her cover. Could she kill him?
Could you go up, point the pistol at someone, pull the trigger?
If it was my job stuff, yes.
Could you do it?
Yes, sir.
I'm not asking you if it's your job. Could you actually do it?
Yes, sir.
Right now, if someone was threatening you, they were going to take your life, could you take their life?
Yes, sir.
Without even a blink of an eye?
I wouldn't be happy about it, no, but yeah, I guess you get used to that.
Do you think you're due respect?
Yes, sir.
Why?
I put 100% in, or as much 100% as I feel I can give.
We're talking about individual things there. What about team things? Do you think you're a team player?
Yes, definitely.
Well, that's not what I've heard from all the other people today.
Sorry, Staff?
You've been absolutely slated by the others.
All right.
You said all you're interested in is yourself.
That's not correct.
That's what they said.
Do you think you're good enough to pass the SAS selection?
If I wanted to, Staff, yes.
That's a thing I've heard a lot. If I wanted to. We had a guy pull off the other day, said I could have passed this if I wanted to. Do you know what that amounts to? No, you did not pass it. So to sit there and say, yes, I could if I wanted to, is crap.
Get your Bergen on, get your weapon, and get up onto the dismissal area.
Yes, Staff.
Two weeks of psychological and physical extremes. As they're taken downriver, it's the last chance for our volunteers to relax before they set off for their final exercise. 18 men and 6 women volunteered to see if they were tough enough for the SAS. Only 4 remain. 2 are women.
Mike, are you surprised with how well the girls have done in this course?
Well, it's very impressive, and I think it shows just how hardy they are, and maybe the military will watch this with interest.
Given that the standard of the girls here is so high, why is it the women don't serve on the front line?
They've got a number of reasons they don't like it. They think that people wouldn't like to see women coming back in body bags from war. They think that women haven't got the killer instinct and that they might not really go for it, but there have been guerrilla armies and terrorists with women in that show that that's not always the case. They worry about romance, sex in small groups, destroying discipline, and it won't work, And now they've come down to really focusing on this physical side. What is it a woman can do? What job can't they do because of the physical limitation? But of course, wherever you set the standard, more men may be able to pass it because more men are stronger because they've got the testosterone going around and the bigger muscles. But you'll always get some women that are right up there, so it may be less women that can do the job, but they can do it, and I think the armed forces will have to relent.
"24 members of the public attempted to complete our 2-week reconstruction of SAS selection. Only 4 have survived." Okay, it's the morning of the last day. Our volunteers have spent their last night out in the open on hard routine. Very much like the last time they were out in the open. It has been lashing down with rain, so I imagine they're exhausted. Now, this is the spot where they come to get some information from the Malaysian Army that's related to their final exercise. And then, in a couple of hours, it's all over. 16 days of hard work, and only 1 is tough enough. It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and our patrol have to navigate through the jungle to a pre-arranged grid reference. Here, they will rendezvous with a friendly local patrol. The soldiers are from the Malaysian Army and have been drafted in to add authenticity to the exercise. DS, you spent all night with them. How have they been?
It was quite a horrendous night. 1 or 2 of them suffered a little bit. and I think it's getting to 1 or 2 people now, as Parsons fell asleep when he was meant to be on stag duty, and he was caught 3 times.
The patrol reaches the RV point and secures the area. Even though they are cold, wet and very tired, they must stay alert.
How does the Malaysian army know that, you know, they're allies, as it were? Do they have like a sign or something?
Well, they'll just walk over with their weapon and their hands up.
The international sign.
International sign, yeah. And don't forget the Malaysian army will be expecting them. So, yeah, there shouldn't be any problem as far as that's concerned.
Great.
Susie has to move forward and make contact with the Malaysians. The SAS often work with foreign armies. Learning the right procedure when approaching friendly forces stops you getting shot. The Malaysian commander explains the layout and the number of soldiers at the enemy camp, which the volunteers must attack.
There's 1 sentry, is that right? 1 sentry? Yeah. We need to take him out. Sentry? Yeah, okay.
Susie then takes the information back to the rest of the patrol, who discuss an assault plan.
Which way's upstream? What do we think?
The volunteers have to paddle downstream to this landing point. Once out of the boat, they have to be careful of sentries. Their aim is to get as close to the compound as possible before attacking it. Once they reach the main building, they have to clear all the rooms, killing the enemy but not the hostage. The volunteers believe the hostage will be in this large hut. In fact, he's in another one 100 meters away, being guarded by a sentry. Once they've located the hostage, they must radio for a helicopter, who will take the injured man from the area. What the volunteers don't know is that the DS have organised a counter-attacking force on the hill overlooking the compound, and the helicopter won't be able to land due to a mortar attack. They will then have to carry the hostage nearly a mile to a pre-arranged emergency helicopter landing site known as an LS. Eddie and the DS member who will supervise their mission give them a final briefing.
What you've got now is just for this final thing, so give it everything you have.
Speed, aggression, surprise. Get in there. If anybody gets in your way, flatten them.
Throughout the exercise, the volunteers will be using high-powered paint guns. Jill Watson, who is now patrol commander, will have to update Eddie via the radio.
Remember to have it turned off when you go forward to take out the enemy, because if somebody starts speaking then, you're going forward and you get compromised.
The friendly forces lead the volunteers down to the boats.
But the sky was clear, stars came out, the waxing moon was riding in the west.
Holly thinks this is a chance in a lifetime for me, so she's quite happy for me to go. All her schoolmates already think I'm a star because of one school sports day's mother's sprint. Anyway, there's not many mums out there that would be doing these sort of things.
Jill decides to leave the patrol close to the river as she goes forward alone to do a reconnaissance of the boats. Throughout the exercise, Eddie has planted a few surprises, one of which is placing a sentry by the river. Jill now has to make a difficult decision. Does she take out the sentry herself or summon help from the rest of the patrol, which might alert the guard? Jill makes the right decision to go forward and shoot the sentry.
Basically what she's decided to do is take out the sentry and come back and form the patrol, the rest of the patrol, and then we'll then go forward from there, cross the river and do the main attack.
This is obviously a crucial moment then, isn't it? Because, you know, she has to do this, and if her position's compromised, then...
Yeah, she's got to do it quietly. How's he doing it now?
How many is she putting in him?
She's making sure he's dead.
When she moves back, will she do that fast, or will she be as slow as she
do it fast, yeah. She's coming now.
0, this is Sierra 1. Fleet mission took sentry out. Over.
Okay, roger that. Carry on with the rest of the mission.
The volunteers paddle downstream, keeping radio silence. They are now only a few hundred metres from where the final assault will take place.
Barry, why in particular we chosen this exercise?
The SES have done something not on a scale much bigger than this, but I don't know if you recall, but in September 2000 there were 12 Royal Irish Rangers were abducted by a group in Sierra Leone called the West Side Boys. And after various negotiations, and 5 had been released, the other 6 looked like they wouldn't get the chop. They kept putting them in front of firing squads and doing dummy firing squads. And so the SES and 1 para actually went in and did a rescue mission. 3 Chinooks, 2 Lynx, actually, and it was a heliborne assault. Just this kind of thing, but on a much bigger scale.
Sure.
As the volunteers reach the riverbank, back at base the helicopter takes off. It only has 50 minutes of flying time. Whatever happens, the patrol must get the hostage into the helicopter before it runs out of fuel.
This is Hotel 1, this is Hotel 1. We are inbound.
Jill correctly tells the others to avoid the path.
In there.
At this point, the volunteers are only 50 metres from the compound.
Stay down.
They need to get as close as possible before being discovered, but they're immediately under pressure as an enemy sentry comes towards them. Ian reacts the quickest. Now that the enemy know they're there, they've got to move quick.
Let's go.
As they break cover, instead of heading straight for the hut, they take defensive positions. It's the DS who pushes them on.
Move, Watson. Move. Up above.
Susie takes out the tower sentry, and Ian is well positioned to take out the other guard.
Move.
Ian then forgets his training and runs past the door. With real bullets, he'd be dead. Tim finishes the job.
Clear!
The SAS are trained to search all the rooms in a building before moving on.
Clear! Out!
Hands down!
Where's the hostage? Where's the hostage?
No hostage! Any more rooms?
No, let's go.
In fact, our patrol have missed the back room. More enemy could be in there, or indeed the hostage.
Okay, forwards, move!
They now run down to the second hut, where another sentry is positioned.
Move! Forward, move!
Move! Jill keeps them in good formation, each pair giving solid covering fire.
All the way through.
Go!
This time, as Susie and Tim reach the second hut, they follow the correct building assault procedure.
Don't shoot!
Right. Quick! Okay, can you walk?
It's my leg.
Okay, right, we're going to get you out, don't worry. Right, cover us. I need some help, guys.
At first, Jill takes up a good defensive position at the side of the hut. But with the adrenaline pumping, she forgets to use the radio.
Put him over my shoulder. Okay.
It's Susie who reminds Jill to contact Eddie.
I can do one.
Jill, use your radio.
one.
Use your radio. Zero, have hostage. This is Sierra 1. We have the hostage.
Come on here. Give me a hand here, mate.
Put your arm around.
Sierra 1, come in for 0, over.
We have the hostage, 0.
Roger, hold the hostage there, await the helicopter extraction. Hotel 1, this is 0. Come in for pickup, over.
Roger, this is Hotel 1, ETA 2 minutes, over.
Keep it going, guys.
Roger that. Sierra 1, hold the hostage there. Hold the hostage there.
Right on the track, yeah?
Bring the hostage here! Now!
What?
Hold him here.
Where?
Round there. Leave him there. Wait for helicopter extraction. Out of the way.
Bear in mind that they don't know who's around the perimeter or whatever.
Correct, yeah.
What's the best thing for them to be doing now? Is it what they're doing?
What they're doing, yeah, they should be maintaining fire positions all around defence. Just checking and making sure nobody's going to come into their position. Keeping an eye on the hostage, making sure he's okay. And just awaiting extraction.
Get him out of the way.
Get him out of the way.
I've got this corner, I've got this corner.
0, this is Hotel 1, ETA 1 minute, over.
Roger, Hotel 1, Sierra 1, helicopter inbound in 1 minute, over.
Okay, 0 out.
So now, should they wait for it to land, or...?
What the helicopter will do, he'll come in, he'll have a quick circuit to make sure it's a safe LS.
What he's doing now, yeah.
What he's doing now. The helicopter will then come in, over, they'll take the casualty down and put them into the chopper. Sierra 1, move to the open area to pick up the chopper, over. Move to the open area to pick up the chopper, over.
Roger, 0 out. Move to the open area to pick up the chopper.
Which open area?
Which open area? Confirm it. 0, which open area to confirm? Is it the paddy field?
Yes, get down there.
Get down there.
Come on, look around.
Just when they thought they completed the mission, the enemy counterattack.
Whoa! Come back!
In the confusion, they still carry on forward towards the mortar fire. It takes the DS to order them back.
Retreat!
This is control. We have a hot LS. Move hostage to secondary extraction LS. Move the hostage to the secondary extraction LS. Over.
Okay, got that, 0.
Hold on to me.
Roger, this is Hotel 1, hot LS, we are pulling out.
Roger, Hotel 1.
Contact front, go!
As the enemy, also played by the Malaysians, comes down the hill, the patrol rapidly moves back.
Quick!
After weeks of training, the volunteers still failed to organise their retreat.
Get some cover and fire down while they get out. One of these get him in a fireman's lift and get him up the hill. Other one give cover and fire. Right, the 3 of these pepper pot back. Give him cover.
Come on in, up the hill!
Move up on me! Phillips up! Phillips, move!
Now they start to retreat as they're trained. Ian carries the hostage in a fireman's lift, while the others give him good covering fire.
Hold on! Let's go! Come on! Push me! Gotta get through the chopper, quickly!
Eddie, they've just cleared sight. Did they do the right thing? Marks out of 10, etc.? When they're coming up here, you were so sort of incredulous, you stood up and started shouting at them.
Yeah, basically, because they weren't giving any fire support to the people as they were moving. You've got to have that fire going down to keep the enemy's heads down while you're moving position. And if you don't do that, then all they're going to do is just keep firing at you and you're a sitting duck. So you've got to have that firepower going down towards the enemy.
Were you impressed or not as to the speed and precision?
Yeah, they've done quite well, yeah. I mean, it was quite a reasonable effort, you know. It's not an easy operation, it's quite a complicated operation. And for them to do it as they did is not too bad at all.
Ready? Go! Keep it going!
Go front! I'm going front! Give me a hand! Give me a hand! hand! Take some of his weight. Let's get him in the woods.
The reason why real SAS training is so long is to make the soldiers capable of remaining calm when under fire. With our volunteers, the panic and physical strain of the exercise makes them lose their tactical awareness.
Right, Ian, can you take
With the enemy pursuing them, they should be protecting their rear, but no one is keeping an eye on it.
Tell us where to go!
No. Right, on the hill, quickly!
Let's drive it up.
With the enemy getting closer, the patrol is two bunched together. There should be at least 15 metres between each volunteer.
Come on. Phillips, you okay?
Yes.
Appleby, you okay? Yeah. Parson! Yep. Okay.
Go forward, forward!
I'm not really somebody who loses their temper very much. I'm much more of a conciliator, so tend to look for solutions out of things rather than kind of blowing my top.
Come on! Come on! Help me, come on!
The hostage acts as though he is too exhausted and collapses.
Get him up!
Hold the weapon, hold the weapon. Take a stint on there, man. Appleby, give Phillips a rest.
One under each arm.
Yeah, if someone takes Phillips, take a rest.
With two people carrying the hostage and Jill overloaded with weapons, their firepower has been reduced to one person. It's the DS who takes control.
The only way you're going to do it is fireman carries each. Each person doing a fireman carry, you've got to take turns.
No, fireman carry him, that's a suggestion.
Fireman carry, come on. Parson, fireman carry.
In a four-man SAS patrol, each one should be capable of carrying any of the others.
He's not on.
Even though the women volunteers have shown extraordinary physical abilities up to now, it's only Ian and Tim who can manage a fireman's lift of the hostage.
He's not on. Push him on. He won't go far like that. That's it. Excellent. Keep it going.
Teamwork will be crucial. You've got to work as a team, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. And hopefully I'll be one of the stronger ones and pull everyone along.
Who's knackered and wants to swap round?
Yeah, me.
OK. Ian, coming in behind.
Susie's taken over the radio.
Foxtrot 10. Double click if hotel is in position, please. Double click hotel is in position, please.
This is Hotel 1, confirmation. We're moving to landing site position.
Come on! Move it! Move it! Put your arm in, come on!
They're on that side, I can see one!
Jill correctly lays down covering fire, which slows the enemy down.
Keep it going! Quickly!
Hold him!
Quickly, come on!
In real combat, the SAS would protect their rear with greater firepower.
Boom! Come on!
In our exercise, the Malaysians have been told not to catch up, but just to put the pressure on. In the melee, it is Susie who stays calm and issues the orders.
Where do you want us?
Into cover! Into cover!
Other side of the shed.
Secure the LS! Secure the LS! All round cover! All round cover! Sierra 1 Hotel! LS secure!
Where's the threat coming from? Let's get some firepower down here. Quickly.
Susie is left on her own to defend the rear until Jill comes to help. The patrol now secures the landing site in all directions.
This is Hotel 1, ETA 30 seconds.
Received, roger. 30 seconds! 30 seconds, ETA! Ready to move! You go, go! Make sure he's on.
They successfully get the hostage into the helicopter within the allotted time.
Guys, we're now at the LS landing site, yeah?
Yeah, man, yeah.
How'd it do? DS?
I thought the attack went okay, best of their ability. They got stuck in there, they got the hostage.
And how were they when they got here?
Yeah, they secured the area, they put down 2 people where the threat was coming from. They covered that option until the person was on the helicopter. They all thought they were getting on, but they've patrolled off now, back into the jungle.
Well done, everybody.
Well done, guys.
Good effort.
Well done. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Guys, how was that?
Awesome. Stressful.
Really?
You've just got all pulled together as a team, and everyone did fantastic.
Yeah, how well do you think it went? Suze, what do you think?
It's pretty knackering.
Is that all I'm going to get off you?
That in real would be pretty scary. I think would have been dead.
That would be so
I think we would have been dead very quickly.
And I guess in real world, that's what they do it for, isn't it? That's what they do it for, and it may last 30 seconds, it may last 30 hours, and then it's, that's it.
And I think one thing I've probably taught us all is not, the old SAS soldier thing, it's not all that glamorous. I mean, it sounds great, but it's bloody hard work.
All right, guys, listen, in Eddie's words, make yourself a brew, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dermot.
Okay, this is the dismissal area back in base camp. The last 4 have just arrived here after the final exercise has been completed. They're unbelievably relieved and outrageously exhausted. Eddie and the boys are over there making their final decision. In just a couple of moments, the remaining 4 volunteers will be brought into here and be told who the DS have decided upon.
Okay then, lads, we've had a hard 16 days. It's now decision time. We have to select one of the final 4 to see who you would take in patrol with you. Let's start with Phillips.
I think he is a natural patrol commander.
Nice and slow, guys. It's not going to stop.
He, after a short period of time, seems to take control of whatever group he's in. And there are others who are quite happy for him to do that, so they must have confidence in him as well.
Doesn't answer the question directly, always hedges around the questions when you ask him questions, as was found out in that Officers' Week scenario.
We want decisions, straightforward decisions, Phillips. What are you going to do? Where's your ERV? How are you going to get the people from the compound out? How are you going to protect them?
Okay, Appleby. I think she's got an attitude problem.
What are you looking at? You're pissed off. Don't you give me dirty looks, you understand? Or you'll be straight out of here. Your plan is absolutely
Very fit girl, a very good performance. She coped with it very well.
She's actually gained strength during the past week and is more and more confident as other people have dropped out.
Watson. Very strong woman. Physically, she's done very well.
Come on, you two! Come on, you two!
I'd say she's improved in the past week. She's got stronger. She's become more confident.
Her humour and her personality really hasn't changed at all from day one.
Just murder like fish and chips and a nice pint.
She's always ready with a smile, even though she's under extreme pressure.
She does sometimes put her foot in it by just her over-exuberance and, speaking out.
He went, just will you give me some space, you're right up my arse, go away, I don't like being pressured. Yeah, I didn't hear him.
I personally been impressed by her performance.
Okay, and Parsons, the last one.
Bit too nice for our game, but he soldiered on, took the pain, and a good all-round performance.
He's not a commander by any means, but if you want somebody to carry the gun onto a knob, maybe he's your man.
What are we going to do? Come on! Get a grip, Parsons!
Well, we're doing river crossing, guys. He isn't a natural-born leader, but he does give 110%. And you can tell that because he seems to have lost half his body weight in the 15 days that he's here. He just will not give in. And with feet like that, I've seen far better guys, sort of drop out.
At the end of the day, what we've got to do, we've got to choose someone to take on the patrol. We're a man down. Which of the 4 are you going to take with you?
The 6 directing staff and Eddie each have 1 vote. After 16 days, this is the last parade for our 4 volunteers. After all the challenges they've faced together, only one will be told, "You're tough enough."
Okay, you can put your weapons down. Right, as I said when we first came here, welcome to paradise or to hell. Most of the people found it was hell. These have managed to get through to the last 4, which in itself is a great achievement. It's been quite a hard course, not only physically, but mentally learning the tactics as well. We have all sat down together, myself and the DS, and we voted for a person who we would take on patrol with us if we were a man down in the patrol. We came out with a very close majority winner. And the winner is Warson. Well done.
You can kiss the bride.
Thanks, everybody.
Right, well done to you all anyway.
16 days of jungle hell.
You're not getting a kiss, Paul.
Jill's attitude has been positive throughout. She's combined mental and physical toughness and proved her worth to former members of the SAS. No military experience, they had to shape up as soldiers. Most of them weren't tough enough.
Come on, keep moving, you lot!
Fighting against almost 100% humidity and searing heat, they had no idea what each day would bring. They were super fit and thought they were mentally strong. From the 24 that started, these are the 4 that remained. Tim Phillips, 34, management consultant. Tim has performed well throughout the 2 weeks.
Where you were? Say yes or no?
He's shown good mental strength and good tactical awareness.
Contact left!
The ex-SAS directing staff have also been impressed with his leadership qualities.
Nice and slow, guys. It's not going to stop.
Jill Watson, 37, fitness instructor. The physical side has seemed like a stroll to Jill. She's outpaced most of the men.
Get off your stomach now!
But sometimes she's quick to blame others.
You can't hear these 2 at the back at all.
Listen to that, Burns.
She's also normally very positive, but has got upset at being separated from her 10-year-old daughter. Susie Appleby, 31, professional rugby player.
Come on, pass him in front!
Susie has sometimes felt like quitting, but her competitive nature has kept her going. She puts on a tough exterior, but privately has a good sense of humour.
And therefore both people have to lay down fire.
There's no point pointing your weapon at him when he's moving around, is there?
The aim is that the first person in dominates the room and allows the second person to come on and clear the room. Again, if the first person meets somebody, then you've obviously got to suppress that enemy first before you continue clearing the room.
Susie Appleby and Tim Phillips are the next pair.
The second person in the room must be able to adapt, move either side of them to then start clearing the rooms leading off of that. Just depends where the threat is.
Speed and control. And they do this time and time and time again.
Okay, line out on the track again.
It becomes second nature to you. When you're going into the room, you know what your partner's going to do.
Using our high-powered paintball guns, Eddie and one of the DS show us how quick it should be done.
Clear the building! First room clear! Second room clear! Out!
12 seconds, not bad for a 50-year-old. Barry Davis, ex-SAS, played the terrorist.
Oh, that hurt!
Jill and Ian now go for real.
Go!
The main element of this assault is surprise, but Jill slams into the building. Eddie is not impressed.
The target's got to have a weapon in their hand. The first person to the door in the pair goes to the opposite side of the hinges. You do not at any time stand in front of the door. If there's enemy inside the building and they hear activity outside, they know you're going to be coming through that door. So all you're going to get is a burst of AK-47 through the door if you're stood outside it. So you need to be to one side. Stand here. Number 2, who was covering, now moves up in a position behind number 1. Once the number 2 is in position, you keep looking at the door, tap on the shoulder to say, yep, I'm ready to go. The number 1 will then gain entry. It's a covert approach, obviously you're going to very quietly undo the latches, locks, door handle before you get the door ready to go. If it's hard and fast, and you're straight in with a hand grenade or a stun grenade.
In the hut next door, we're monitoring the exercise.
And it's going to be at night time, you can't see each other. That's the signal to ready.
Initially, they do a dry run. Ian Parsons and Jill Watson are the first pair.
Straight in. Straight in after it. Don't hang around. Yeah, once the door's open, you move it.
When you go in that room, you don't know, you haven't a clue of what is going to face you. There could be 3 or 4 people in there.
God, chill. Can't stand her.
Ian Parsons, 34, photographer. Ian has done extremely well on the endurance exercises, but has made bad mistakes on the shooting range.
Down in there. All you've got to do is take one pace off your line of access.
He's overcome badly infected feet. Over the next 24 hours, these 4 will be given their final tactical training. Then put through intense psychological pressure. And when that is all over, using all the skills they've learned, they'll have one final exercise. Their mission? To attack this enemy compound and rescue a hostage and get him airlifted to safety. Every move each volunteer makes will be analysed. The directing staff have been monitoring their performance throughout, but any mistakes from now on will cost them dear. The winner simply gets a handshake from this man, Eddie Stone, and the satisfaction of knowing they're tough enough. This snug little baby behind me provides a setting for what's known as a building assault. Essentially, our volunteers have to go in, clear the building and make it safe. Eddie reliably informs me this is to do with teamwork and SAS. Speed, aggression, surprise. His words, not mine.
Has to be fast, has to be quick. Your shooting has to be accurate. You fire bullets in one room, they're going to travel into the other room. And you're going to look an idiot if you're going in to rescue somebody and you end up them being dead. Next up.
Welcome to paradise, or to hell for most of you. You're here because you think you're tough enough for the SAS.
SAS selection is legendary for its toughness. Jungle survival is an essential part of the process. We're in 30,000 square miles of jungle in Sarawak, the Malaysian part of Borneo. Former members of the SAS are recreating SAS selection.
ago, 24 people entered this jungle below me. Their challenge to see if they're tough enough to withstand the SAS selection process in the jungle. They've faced the most arduous of physical and mental tasks. The dropout rate has been phenomenally high, pretty much one every day. But now 4 people remain. And those 4 face the most grueling 48 hours of their lives, at the end of which one will be told, you're tough enough for the SAS.
14 days ago, these were the 24 that started.